on the introduction to management concept. Okay, so if you can see, when we talk about management, so if we talk about ni macam mana saya nak start kelas ni? Okay, so if we talk about management, basically you can see that actually there is a reason why I put this thing here, because management, the most important is to manage the people. Okay, so it starts from managing the people, and then your people manage well, they should be able to manage other things, resources, money, material, equipment, whatsoever. But if you can't manage the people, the other things will not come through. So the most important essence, and when we talk about management, ialah managing the people. Okay, so that's why I highlighted we depend on the people. So as a leader, you depend on your team co-workers. Okay, so which means your team, and as a co-worker or subordinate, you depend on the leader. So the relationship is symbiotic. Okay, so the relationship shouldn't be heavy or sideline on the other side, berat sebelah and so on. Okay, so if no, you will not be able to command properly. You will not be able to provide proper direction, proper command. So when we are talking about human, if you could not command, okay, so you as a leader, you could not command and gain the trust, gain the respect, susah. Okay, because no point being a leader tapi yang jenis autocratic. Okay, so there there are several, should I put it, there are several theories, or there are several there are several types of leaders. Okay, so leaders who are jenis punishing, leaders who are jenis being too lenient. So there are various type of leaders that you might come across bila you kerja nanti. And not easy to be a good leader. Okay, so there should be a balance between dia ada punishing. I wouldn't say punishing macam only the leader is correct. Okay, so there should be a balance. Okay, and the balance is not easy to get. So when it's not easy, itu yang a lot of subordinates hate their leaders too. Okay, so well, we'll go into that. But for this, basically the topic is about introduction to management concept. Okay, so at the end of the day, you should be able to acquire, apply management concept in the work environment kemudian. But I think besides applying it in the work environment, actually the best place for you to practice management, it starts when you're talking about management, when you're talking about leadership, when you're talking about teamwork, when you're talking about people management, it starts from your home. Okay, so it starts from your family home. Okay, you have your parents, you have your siblings, so it starts from home sebenarnya. In fact, and if you're talking about politics, politics start from home. Okay, if you can manage your home well, you should be able to manage bigger than that. Okay, so the best place to practice is basically your home. Okay, so because at home you are the leaders, okay, you should be able to distinguish who are the leaders, and then at home, okay, and even siblings, why are they doing such action and so on. So sebenarnya it is interesting actually if you observe, if you try to understand why people react in a certain way. Those are basically people management. If you can manage that well, you will be able to manage a lot of things well. Cuma people management, What do you think? Do you think we can categorize people based on behavior? Can we actually have certain or let me rephrase my question. Do you think we can predict other people's action? If given a certain problem, okay, so if it's in such a problem, how would people A react? How would people B react? How would people C react? Do you think we can do that? Do you think we are able to actually anticipate what would be the action by the person? Boleh ke?
Boleh.
Boleh. Suppose boleh. Okay, but you need to read the game. You need to understand how the person is. Without knowing the person, without because everyone has a behavior. So normally that's why we have behavior science, behavior analysis, and so on. So you can actually predict how the person would react from your action or from the situation. So that's why if you can grasp that, you should be able to manage the people. So you should be able to understand your subordinate ni tak happy sebab apa. So and how do you want to get them to work for you in a voluntary basis rather than you have to force them and so on. So because a lot of time when we are talking about work, it's about the motivation. Money is not everything. Okay, but for fresh graduate, I suppose money is something. Okay, bila you after belajar you get a job, usually that will be your starting point. That will be your intro to work. So money is something for you. But when you're already in the system for quite a while, okay, so 10, 20 years of being in construction, you have a certain stable job, income is okay. At one point, money is not everything. Okay, so you would see that you require something more than money. Okay, so acknowledgement and so on. Okay, so but the basis is basically starting with the people lah. Okay, so okay, let's get to the other slide. So if you can see, the front slides are basically pretty straightforward. Okay, so nothing complicated about it, and I will not even ask question or test question on this thing. Okay, so because this thing is basically it's just a general idea what is management and so on, what is work and so on. Okay, so work in management basically is an activity that produces value for other people. Okay, so okay, so activity is basically the action. Okay, so things that you do. Okay, but however, that action needs to produce value for other people. In construction, our case refers to the client. Okay, so it should produce value to the client. It should produce value to the end user, whoever at the receiving end of our work. And at the same time in construction, we pindah tangan kerja. So for example, bricklayer, dia punya output of work will pass on to painter, for example. So of course, that will be internal customer lah. Maksudnya it is not the end user but internal customer. So you as the contractor of bricklayer, you need to have a proper, what do you call, produce a proper wall lah basically, so that it could ease the painter kemudian. Okay, so in construction we have a lot of jobs that will be taken over by different subcontractors. Okay, so our job is to do the best and to ease the movement or transition of the work to other people. So not only the end user lah. Okay, so it's an activity that produce value for other people. It can be internal customer between subcon to subcon, ataupun it can be external customer, which means funder, end user and so on. Okay, so the need for work to be done well enough that people, organizations, society as a whole will prosper. Okay, so it makes the study of management, manager is so meaningful. Actually, if you understand management real well, you should be able to actually ease your job sebenarnya. Okay, so cuma sometimes management we see it as like it's a soft skill. Okay, so it's not a technical skill, but with soft skill you will be much more apparent to people. You will be there is an aura, there is an this credential of you that is in the softer part, soft skill rather than just technical. So it comes hand in hand. Okay, so for example, as a graduate, if you go for an interview, technical part is important. Okay, so that is being shown by your CGPA. If you have a better CGPA, probably a technical is good, but you might come across that not many that are hired only based on technical. Doesn't mean that you're a first class student, you secure a job. It's not, it doesn't work that way. So that's why they have interview. So interview is to look into the soft skill. Okay, so soft skill is where how you actually could understand what the interviewer is asking. How do you answer so that you can actually fit into what is their requirement, their question. So those are the softer skill. Okay, so what is management? Basically, this is a process of planning, leading, controlling the use of resources to accomplish performance goal. Okay, so the use of resources, what are the resources in construction? What are the common resources in construction? When we mention resources ni apa?
Material.
Material, lagi
Machinery.
machinery, lagi
Manpower.
manpower, lagi
Money.
money. Okay, ada lagi tak? Rasa covered lah. Okay, so material, machinery, manpower, money. Okay, so those are the resources. And also betul lah tu. Okay, and also to accomplish performance goals. So what are the goals in construction? The common goals. What are the common goals? Time. Okay. Cost. Quality. So the most common goal, the most common lah. Okay, so no matter what construction it will be time, cost, quality. Besides that, what else? Besides the three main the triangle of construction goals ni, apa lagi that we want to see in terms of performance?
Sustainability.
Sustainability, betul, correct. We have
Environment.
Environment dalam sustainability, betul.
Social.
Social, betul, dalam safety. So basically besides the goal, the other goals are basically the sustainable goals lah. Okay, so yesterday we have mentioned the three dimensions of sustainable goal. So cost dah termasuk dalam ni. Okay, we have other than that environmental goal. Okay, so contractors should try to reduce their pollution to the minimum, reduce dust and so on, and also social. Okay, so contractors should try to reduce accidents, death and so on, and also to ensure that the construction is being done with maximum comfort to the people surrounding it and so on. Okay, so those are the additional goals. Okay, so next, okay, that's fine. Alright, so management is an important element in every organization. Okay, so coordinates current organizational activities and plans for the future. Okay, so management, the environment shapes the organization. So these are some of the definition. I don't need you to memorize the definition, just have an idea je. Okay, so management, for example, is basically to know what you want to do. So this is where we have project definition, we have project planning nanti. Okay, so knowing what you want to do and do it in the best and cheapest way. Yang ni ialah daripada Taylor. Okay, so later in chapter 2, we will touch on Taylor ni in detail on his theory. Okay, but in general, it's basically understanding what you want to do and doing it in the most optimum manner. And other than that, management is a process consisting of planning, organizing, actuating, implementing, controlling. Okay, so by the use of people and resources. Other than that, advantages of using formal project management, obviously a lot. Okay, so better control of financial, you have better customer relation. So this comes to picture especially when you are trying to sell a house. Okay, so when you're trying to get buyers and so on. So this is very important. So if you have non-effective project management with delays and so on, I don't think it can improve your customer relation that much. So because the customer is unhappy. Okay.
Prof,
Yes.
saya rasa slide Prof tak gerak kot.
Oh, tak gerak Ada. Advantages of using formal project management.
Sekarang punya slide, what is work?
Oh, tak gerak lah.
Okay, dah gerak dah.
Oh, dah gerak. Okay. So, boleh nampak ke macam ni? Okay. If I display like this, okay?
Boleh.
Alright.
Okay, nampak.
Okay, so the advantages is obvious lah. Okay, so if you have proper project management and you implement it, of course you have all the benefit. Okay, so shorter development time, lower cost, higher quality, obviously increased reliability, okay, profit margin for the contractors, client, improve productivity, better coordination, higher worker morale, okay, less stress. So you should know that when you bulk in all your assignment hujung semester, stress kan. So if you plan it properly, if the assignment has been provided earlier and you plan it properly, you will have less stress. Okay, so similarly goes to construction. If you are in urge untuk complete, time frame tight, so of course it will increase the stress level. Okay, these are some of the advantages. So obviously this will not be asked in your test lah. Too simple. Okay, so the management functions, so many, but we will stick on to planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and also staffing somewhere in between. Okay, so planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling. So there are a lot because different researchers, different theories try to input their, their thoughts into it. Okay, but the fundamentals of it ialah yang pertama ni, planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling. Okay, and other than that, there are definitions since long time ago. Okay, because management theory started long time ago. Okay, so the art of getting things done through people. And I think this quote is very important and very significant sebab that's why it's very important because it should be done through people. If you are the boss and you can't rely on your subordinate to do whatever is required and you do it on your own, then you are not a good leader. Then you are not even managing. Might as well you are just the implementer. Okay, so management or manager is getting things done through people. So how you gonna get people to obey to you, to to follow through? You need to have strategy. Okay, so it is not just that you force them and just saying that I pay you to do it and you do it, it might work, but it will not sustain for a long run. Okay, so you will not get the respect that is required to sustain them. So dia akan jadi turnover tu tinggi lah. Okay, so an organisation with weak leadership, it might create problem nantilah, all this turnover, and then people, you know, not happy doing the job. Sometimes when people not happy doing the job, the result of the job is not as satisfactory. Okay, so it's the art of getting things done through people. Art. Okay, so it is not exactly science, so it is art. So art, when we mention art, the thing that come to our mind is something very abstract, something very subjective, something that we look at a drawing, your thoughts of it, my thoughts of it, everyone's thoughts of it will be different. So it's art. Okay, so because art too, the perception of everyone looking at a certain drawing is different. So that's why they call it art. Okay, so because there is no right or wrong way of doing it, but doing it, showing you a result that shows that you're doing something right. Macam tu lah, lebih kurang. Okay, so what is a manager? So a manager is a person who, in an organization who is responsible for the work performance of one or more of other person. So in construction, kita ada project manager usually. Okay, unless you have hierarchical in an organization, you have you have project manager, you have construction manager ke, unless macam tu. But if not, the most common one that we can find is basically project manager. Okay, so for a construction, a project manager is accountable for the progress, performance of the project. Okay, and also people within it. All right, so basically it's someone whose primary responsibility to carry out the management process. Okay, so whereby you have to plan, you have to make decision, ni lah. Okay, so someone who plans and makes decision, organize, lead, control human, finance, physical and information resources.
Prof,
Yes.
slide tak bergerak.
Betul lah. Okay, then I will not display it, I'll just use macam ni. Okay, what is manager? Are we at the right slide? What is manager?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so then I just open it as such lah. Okay, all right, the next one is what is a manager's job? Okay, so manager's job can be broadly defined as deciding what should be done and getting other people to do it. So you can see that a lot of authors, researchers actually talking about getting other people to do it. Tapi as a manager, you are being paid so high, tapi orang lain yang buat. Is it fair? What do you think? As a manager, you will be paid high kan? The higher you go, the higher you will be paid. But the higher you are, the less technical you will be, which means you will not be the person doing the job. So as a manager, as you go higher, your job is to think. So they pay you to think. They are not paying you to do the job. Okay, so it is what it is because you need the think tanker. Okay, so manager's job is to think, is to look into the whole construction. How is it possible to be completed? So there you have to jigsaw the whole thing. Okay, so what comes after another and so on. So that's why when you think and with the not KPI, what do you call it? With the goal set, time, cost and quality, including sustainability goals set on you, it comes along with the stress. Okay, so how do you want to manage all of the goals, but at the same time you want to manage the operation? So it is pretty challenging. That's why manager, you will be paid high because not because of physical stress, but it is because of the mental stress. Okay, but if you don't go to that level, if you don't go to that extent, basically you just nak makan gaji, day-to-day job. At one point, I don't know, personally at one point, it will be rather boring. So day in, day out, you go and do the same thing again and again and again, and you don't see your prospect. 5 years in future, you are given certain project to handle, certain task to handle. Kalau if you're not given that, it will be rather boring. Your life will be just tak ada apa lah. Every day you just go to the job, do it, balik, and tomorrow you the same thing again. But as a manager, beza dia ialah you will see different issues, you will see different challenges too. It adds to stress, but it adds to the satisfaction of living. Like macam it's interesting lah. You solve issues, is interesting. You solve problem. Anyhow, it is just personal opinion. So actually everyone is different. The aim of actually getting a job, working is also different for everyone. So so when you actually work later on, you need to know what is your motivation. What is your motivation to even started studying civil, for example? Actually, a lot of things that I mean, you have to ask yourself, why are you here? Okay, so why are you studying civil? Why do you intend to be in civil for years to come? If so, will you be in consultant? Will you be in construction? Or will you want an academic life? So a lot of things that you can actually think prior to that happening, and you can actually plan properly. So yeah, sometimes I'll just select whatever I think is important, or whatever I think that, maybe life lesson that I can share with you, so that at least you get something out of this subject. At the same time, you can also get something that you might use in your future nanti, interview time ke, your working time ke, so you might come across using this. Okay, all right. So what do managers do? Okay, so importantly, if you're talking about effective managers, they need to utilize their organizational resources in two ways. Okay, one, to produce high performance outcome. Okay, so whereby the performance of the project to effective and efficient. Effective meaning to say that the project fulfills the aim. Okay, so the project could address all the goals required within the time frame, within the cost, within the scope, quality required. Okay, effective. Efficient is always to do with resources. How well did the project manager use the resources? Meaning to say, if the project if a project completed within the time frame, tapi at the same time, the resources used more than budgeted, so wasted lah. So it might be effective, tapi dia tak efficient. Okay, so two ways of looking at how we actually utilize our resources. Okay, so for example, make it in simple way in your life. Okay, so studying for exam, so you might have planned properly. Okay, and your plan is daily allocation of maybe 1 hour for a killer subject, for example. So you have done it, and once you take the exam, you dapat A. So probably your time that you have spent, your resources, your effort you have spent is effective. Okay, but let's say inefficient. Inefficient, probably, let's say you have allocated, let's say you spend more than that. Okay, so every day 3 hours. Padahal 1 hour would do it, because your 3 hours tu termasuk sekali dengan you check WhatsApp and so on. So it's inefficient use of your effort lah. Place because you have actually placed lebih kurang 2-3 hours, tapi maybe result might be the same, cuma tak efficient in terms of effort, the time you have allocated. Okay, so but this happens often though when you are actually doing certain work. It is really inefficient sebenarnya, the job efficiency. For example, if I am lecturing, but at the same time ada call coming in, or else there are WhatsApp, I need to check the WhatsApp. dia jadi tak efficient lah, dia tak adalah jadi 1 hour class, dia jadilah dalam 20 minutes class because I have to reply the WhatsApp. Okay, so something like that, efficient in terms of that. Okay, so and of course when I do that, then the class will not be effective at all. Okay. All right. Another element that is important result in the following: high level of satisfaction among people doing it. So you can see that when we are talking about good managers or effective managers, two things. Satu in terms of performance, satu in terms of the people. Okay, performance project, but the people is, we put it in a different scope or different aspect because it is different from the project. So project might be successful, but your subordinate happy ke? Okay, so are they did they fulfill the job, but at the same time they are motivated to serve you, I wouldn't say serve, to work with you, lebih kurang something like that. Okay, so high levels of satisfaction among people doing the work. So meaning to say, as a manager, not only focusing on the project but also focusing on the quality of people's life juga. Okay, so quality of work life. So performance effectiveness ialah output measure of a task. Performance efficiency, a measure of resource. It can be cost or it can be any resource lah associated with goal accomplishment. Okay, so another way to put it, what do we mean by effective? The degree to which goals are achieved, making the right direction and successfully implementing them, doing the right thing at the right time. Okay, I think this is very important. Sometimes we tend to do things berkali-kali with mistake. Okay, so I think there is one theory theory ke concept, zero defect. I think that we should like nail it in our brain so that when we do something the first time, it would be without defect. Okay, so zero defect. Because kita basically, if we try our best, I think we should be able to do. Cuma sometimes we take for granted lah. Okay, so as human, so zero defect, I think if you can do it with that, then please do so. Okay, efficiency on the other hand, using minimal resources. Okay, so to produce the output, using resources wisely, okay, in a cost effective way, and operating in such a way that resources not wasted. That is efficiency. Okay, so a simple matrix or diagram here. Okay, so goal attainment dengan resources. So if you have high goal attainment, you have attained the goal very high. Okay, and if you have attained the resource or you have utilized the resource very well, so you will fall into this box. Okay, effective and efficient. So your goal achieved, your resource well utilized, and is a happy client lah, basically you will get. Okay, on the other hand, if you have poor goal attainment, meaning to say you might not have completed on time, okay, so you might have delayed your project, and also at the same time too much of wastage. Okay, so you have delayed, but at the same time you have used up all the budget allocated. Poor resource utilization, so you will fall into this box. So this will be the worst box to be in, this will be the best box to be in, but in between you might have attained the goal but poor resource utilization somewhere here. Okay, so it's like macam, for example here, if you poorly utilize the resource, basically you completed the project on time, tapi you have used up more resources than is required, or a lot of wastage in between. Okay, so something like that. Okay, the next thing, rather than performance of the project, the quality of life, performance of the people working with the project manager. Okay, so a high quality of life offers such thing. You would expect to be given adequate fair pay for a job well done. Sometimes kan, bila kita work, kita kerja, you work because you can meet so many people. There are people who would be willing to work tapi not requesting that much of salary. is satisfactory. But there are some who does not do the work, but the demand on salary is so high. So you will come across a lot of different nature of people. But however, I think to make it like so that your salary is berkat lah kan. Okay, so you need to have a fair pay for a job well done. Okay, so the job and the salary should come hand in hand. Okay. Besides that, if you're talking about quality of life, which is good, safe and healthy working condition. So this is one of the major issue in construction. Our working condition, obviously it's not in the office. Okay, especially if you are site based. And the danger macam the one that we have come across recently, the accident yang caused three workers to basically fatal. Okay, so fatal accident. So we have huge issue for construction on this. Okay, it can be the issue of a lot. So it can be saving costs. Okay, so less precautionary measures taken in order to reduce all those costs. Okay, cost of providing this what do you call, sometimes you see sites but they don't have this the barrier. Okay, so and then this kind of like notification or warning sign. If you go into a good site, you should be able to see warning signage and so on, barriers, so that workers shouldn't fall off easily and so on. So itulah construction is one of the, for fatality, construction is the highest among all the other sectors. But in terms of injury, tak lah, because you might come across manufacturing having injury yang basically lighter weight sikit. Okay, maybe hand injury, like a leg injury and so on. Tapi fatality construction is the highest. So confirm, if anything happen, jatuh, there's no way you can survive. Okay, so itulah, that's some of the issue. Okay, other than that ialah opportunity to learn and use new skill. I think this is important. Mungkin as a undergraduate, you might see that learning tu susah. Okay, so it's difficult to learn because you are learning all the time. So you might see it a bit overwhelmed untuk learn so much. But once you get into work, and if you're doing the same routine again, same thing, you would find the opportunity to learn, to find use new skill to be something exciting. So you will, how to say, I feel once you're working, you will want that opportunity to upskill whatever you have. Okay, so masa belajar mungkin sebab every day is a learning, is basically is a learning day for you. But working, not necessarily. So sometimes ada, for example, we have a lot of postgraduate student yang datang. Not a lot. We have some postgraduate student yang registered with us. I mean, intending to study, intending to belajar masters. Tapi they have to withdraw because the boss doesn't allow them to study. So sebenarnya inhibiting someone to learn, okay, so inhibiting knowledge yang someone wants to learn, I think is a big, it shouldn't be done at a management level lah, especially leader. So because you cannot stop someone in learning. Okay, that's why you ada satu PO lifelong learning tu. Okay, so opportunity to learn too important. And then room to grow, progress in a career. Kalau you started with junior engineer and after 20 years you masih junior engineer, then the organization is not doing you any good. Okay, so there should be progress in a career. Kalau tak, no matter how well the organization is treating, but if they don't, I think it goes hand in hand. If an organization is treating you well, they should at the same time think of your career, because they are the department of HR who's gonna look into all these human resource too. So HR nowadays, they bukan hanya about pay, bukan hanya every month keluarkan slip gaji. No, an HR now, it should be more proactive. It should be looking at the whole picture, how human capital, nama pun capital, the human resource, and now we call it human capital, is a capital to an organization. So it adds value lah basically, and how that human capital could grow together with an organization. So itu penting lah. Alright. Other than that, protection of individual rights. So yang ni biasanya, for example, macam worker society. Okay, for example, for government servant, QPEX QPEX is for government, if I'm not mistaken lah. Okay, so QPEX, for example, so all those society for workers, so workers group and so on. So if there are any misconduct by the authority in the organization, so you have a leader where you can complain to. Itulah. And of course, besides that, all the workers are protected by legislation. Okay, the other act, Employers Act and so on. And especially macam workers quarters, that is one of the issue in construction. So workers quarters, if you have been to one, sometimes kesian, they stay in a place, some of it, not all. Okay, so they might stay in a place yang tak boleh, inhabitant, very bad. Okay, so very small, dirty, dark, musty room and so on. So itulah. So that's why actually legislation is there. So actually contractors or what do you call, employers should provide a certain size of room, and room tu ada berapa orang, semua tu. There is a act for it, employment, under Employment Act tu. So but cuma yalah, whether it has been realistically has been practiced ke tidak, that's another story lah. Okay, and others will be pride in the work itself and the organization. This would come later once you have addressed all the what do you call, salary issue, belonging and so on. So this is where you finally, okay, you are proud to work for the organization and you are proud to be representing the organization. Lebih kurang macam itulah. Okay. Okay, so the manager's challenge. Okay, so the challenge ialah you are accountable to the boss and you are dependent to your subordinate. Okay, so you are like in between. You have to answer to your boss. It can be the project director. Okay, so you stay accountable to them, and at the same time you are highly dependent on your subordinate. So as a manager, you are in the middle, that you get instruction from the top. There are KPIs, there are goals you need to address, but you are highly dependent on the person below you to conduct as the authority requires. So it's not easy to do that. Okay. Okay, next, the key concepts of management. Okay, so we have planning, organizing, leading, controlling, staffing. So this one you need to know by heart. Okay, so you need to carry this all the time with you. When we mention management, it starts with planning. Okay, once you have the plan, you need to organize. Okay, so you need to know where should you allocate the resources. Okay, once you have organized it, and then you need someone to lead. You need to lead. So you have team of CNS, you have team of this, someone needs to lead. And then once you are leading, things are moving, you need to control if there are any deviation. Okay, so planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and sometimes kita masukkan juga staffing. Staffing is important, that if you get the wrong staff, your other things will be what do you call, disturbed. Okay, so wrong staff, you did not hire the right one, they might not have the experience, it's quite difficult for you to actually do all the other things. So that's why staffing is important. Okay, a theme of organization goal, effective and efficient. So you can see that the same words are coming appearing in a few slides. So benda tu penting lah. Okay, so 4 functions defined. Okay, so you have planning, you have organizing, leading, controlling. Okay, planning basically is the setting of goal. Okay, so you select a course of action and you decide what to do, how to do, when to do, who to do it. You plan. You can, in fact, benda ni you can address it in your own work life, study life. Okay, so you have project. What are the goal of your project? Okay, what you need to do to complete that project? Okay, so those are the things. So planning. Organizing is where you segregate based on the activities. Okay, so how activities and resource are grouped. You determine the composition of work and how the activities will be coordinated. You organize lah. Okay. Leading is where you get the organizational members to work together. Okay, so leading you need to have kat side you have kepala untuk what job. Okay, so you're site agent, so you need to have the chain of command. So you need to know who is listening to who and who is reporting to who. Without proper leading, or without a proper chain of command, the worker might be hearing from this engineer, tapi which decision is the right one? So leading is important kat sini. Okay, so especially on communication. Okay, so motivating, communicating to ensure goals are attained. Next will be controlling. Okay, so once you lead, project is in progress, you monitor and you control. Okay, so monitoring and control. So control and monitor biasanya the word comes hand in hand. Okay, so monitoring the progress, compare the result and what you have expected to achieve, what you have derived from the planning. Okay, and finally staffing ialah walaupun dia nampak the word pesky here is like small little, how to say, maybe not that much of an emphasis given, but personally I think if you have the wrong recruitment, the other things is so difficult to be done. If the HR conduct the interview without the engineer, let's say hanya HR je conduct the interview without getting input from project, it's quite difficult. You might hire the wrong people and you place it on site, the project manager kena bertanggungjawab. And you realization the worker is not as competent as required. Okay, so benda ni penting lah, actually it's very important. The recruitment, assignment, training, development. So all of this falls under the job of an HR, but partially is done by the project manager on site. Okay. Okay, I think we have 2 minutes. Let me see the slide baru 21, alamak. Okay, in that case, let me just go through these 2 slides and then we will stop kat management skill ni. Okay, in general, management level tu more or less something like this. You have top manager, or although CEO and so on. You have middle manager. Okay, so it can be the head of certain functionals. Okay, functionalities. So, and then first line manager will be more operational, and finally it will be the non-managerial position. Okay, so these are the definition for management level: first line, middle, top. Okay, so actually you can see that first line manager is basically the one yang give instruction to workers kat site. Okay, so it can be site supervisor. Okay, or I will put it can be site engineer. Okay, so they will mention, they will coordinate what needs to be done daily. Middle manager can be a project manager in a construction site. Okay, so he manages the site. And top manager can be the project director or the top of the company. Okay, so it can be a project director in this case because it can form a team and so on. Okay, and I think we might stop here, and then the next we will touch on management skill. So far, any question tak? Ada soalan tak? Or is it? Tak ada. Tak pernah.
Tak ada.
Tak pernah ada soalan ke? Macam mana I want to make you guys to have question? Mungkin I kena like rotate you guys. Okay, hari ni who will ask question? You think of something. Kalau tak, you dengar je kan. Itulah. So I will do that. I will look into the name list and then we will assign each one at least untuk tanya soalan dalam every class. You need to think of something. Okay. So minggu ni bagi lepas je lah. Okay. No question? So far okay ke? Can you guys like follow through if I like talk in for like almost 50 minutes macam ni? Boleh ke?
Boleh.
Alright. Okay, baguslah macam tu. Alright, kalau macam tu we'll end the class here. I'll see you next Monday. Okay? Alright, thank you guys.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Prof.
Thank you, bro.